Good evening. The news for this Tuesday, 19th of January. Many businesses and foundations have today made cash donations towards the COVID-19 Relief Fund. The checks were presented to President Revel Ramkalawan this morning at State House.
6 companies and 2 foundations made donations towards the COVID-19 Relief Fund this morning. The Seychelles Breweries Company Limited and the JFA Group both made a donation of 1 million rupees each. Shedinu gave 100,000 rupees, while Compass gave 200,000 rupees and Sakos Insurance Company 300,000 rupees. The Green Island Construction Company, GICC, gave $100,000. The Tick Mill Offshore Company made a donation of $10,000, and the JJ Spirit Foundation also made a donation of 10 million rupees to the fund. Some businesses made the donation as part of their corporate social responsibility, while other donors did it as a sign of solidarity during this pandemic.
And today there have been long queues for COVID-19 vaccination and confusion over who was entitled to receive their first injection. At Grantas, people were forced to wait in line for more than 3 hours to discover that they shouldn't have come. Elsewhere at Anse-Royal, ICCS, and the Seychelles Hospital, staff reported receiving abuse from people they had to send away.
Rarely has taking the medicine proved so popular, too popular. Here at Grand'Anse, the district administration was swamped by people wanting a jab today, only they hadn't all been invited.
7:30 I was here waiting for the vaccine. When we came here, they told us that the vaccine will be given at 10. Then a nurse came and told us that no, the vaccine will not be given to anybody, only for STA workers and the students.
I have 400 students today and staff. I'm going to have to inject the staff and the students.
Before any of those?
Yes, of course.
Those waiting were eventually inoculated mid-morning. It was the same story at Seychelles Hospital. It could only process 25 patients an hour, partly because of misunderstandings that today was earmarked for national parks and prison staff.
They fall under the population, which we're going to start next week. But we are struggling with them. That's why we are having a bit of pressure. Some are swearing, are quarreling. So we are trying to manage.
People coming for their injections here generally spend about 5 minutes receiving public health information there. They're then led into a room where they sign a consent form before they're taken into this second room for their actual injection. That takes about a minute. Afterwards, they're invited to wait for half an hour in another waiting room to ensure that everything's gone okay.
Air Seychelles staff and crew from Zilair lined up at ICCS, with nearly 400 people jabbed yesterday and hopes of the Chinese vaccine riding high.
Very confident. Yes, we have to take our vaccines to give us protection, build up our immunity.
Even though it's not 100%, everything we can do to reduce risk and just make the people around us a bit safer is a good thing.
But safe physical distancing was still breaking down at Anse-Royal, the destination for hotel staff. It's reported a first mild bad reaction to the vaccine. A young man was sent to the district's hospital for observation after suffering from heart palpitations, but was soon released. That apart, staff say the process is gradually getting smoother.
The Principal Secretary for Education, Dr. Odile Dekomamo, says that the Ministry of Education is doing its best to disseminate as much information as possible. For the beginning of this first term, lessons will be published on the Ministry's website as well as on SBC3. In addition, all topics on the curriculum for this term will be published on the Seychelles Nation and the Ministry's website and Facebook page. Dr. Dekomamo says that the ministry is trying its best to prepare lessons to share through different media.
We are starting this week, but this week we will have some programs that we recorded last year that are still relevant. We are putting them here while we finalize the program for next week. And the program for next week onwards will be based on the curriculum for term 1. And as soon as we present the programs on SBC3 and on Telececil, we will also upload the lessons on our website. So we are trying our best to cover different levels and for different subjects this time round, so that at least we have a good variety of lessons so that the students do not lose out. The oversight is the most difficult part. That's why we are encouraging teachers to get into contact with the students and ensure that the students are engaged in their lessons for the different levels.
SBC has learned of the death of Sister Bernadette Yokoro from the Sisters of the St. Joseph of Cluny congregation. Sister Yokoro passed away this morning at the age of 77. Sister Bernadette was born in Japan on October 16, 1943, and entered the Nativitate of Madagascar on July 22, 1963, and made her last vow with the congregation of St. Joseph de Cluny on August 12, 1974 at the Good Shepherd Church. Her funeral service is on Thursday. Biologists say the strange sea creature that has been spotted on the Beauvalon beach is not deadly, but does contain a powerful poison that can be painful if someone gets stung by one. It is said it could be a product of climate change, and more may appear on the Seychelles beaches.
It was last Saturday, when a family was strolling on the Beauvalon beach in the vicinity of Coral Trend Hotel, that they spotted a bright blue organism which appeared to be dancing. As they walked further on, they spotted a dozen of them scattered on the beach, which prompted them to alert the authorities. Biologist and chief executive of a Seychelles Nature Reserve, Dr. Nimal Shah, says this is not the first sighting of this marine sea slug. He has personally come across them and identified them as the Glaucus atlanticus or blue dragon.
I've had about 3 experiences with this animal here in the Seychelles. And one of the most vivid was some 25 years ago when there was this tourist lady who had been stung by blue bottles or Portuguese man-of-war. And among them was this animal that we call blue dragon or Glaucus. Now, I believe that she was stung by Glaucus because she was really in pain, and I was stung by it too, and it was really, really painful.
These 3-centimeter sea slugs live in the middle of the Atlantic, Pacific and Indian Ocean and drift aimlessly. They are pushed on the shore where they eventually die by very strong winds or currents, but this happens on very rare occasions. Biologists say it can remain poisonous even after its death and is best to swim very far from where they are spotted.
Certainly, if we have more frequency and high intensity winds, which is what climate change is doing, definitely we'll get more of these sort of incidences. People don't really have to be scared of this because it's quite rare that they get stranded on shore because they are pelagic animals, they live in the open ocean. So it's not something to be really concerned about. It's just that my advice to everybody, if you don't recognize something, just don't touch it.
Apart from the cute but quite poisonous blue dragon, which are rarely spotted, there are other sea animals that float in the middle of the ocean that get washed up on the Seychelles shores. These are the button jellyfish, violet sea snail, and a type of sea skater. The sea skater was also spotted by the family very close to one of the blue dragons on Beauvalon Beach.
And that was the news summary. Thanks for watching.